Hello, this is Gazzola. Today I'd like to walk you through some of the work that I've done for BioSketch.art. This was a lovable web app initially created by a scientist and a group of scientists to create a scientific illustration platform. Initially, there was a lot of bug fixing to do. I performed my quality assurance process where I apply a full testing suite to find all these bugs and then fix them until all the tests pass. I was able to also fix some security vulnerabilities in the database, as well as a blocking performance error in the database that was trying to fetch and store too much data through each query. And I was able to optimize that so it has the exact same functionality, but it doesn't have the problem where the database would essentially shut down periodically, and it would have prevented the app from scaling and deploying as well. But now we are ready to scale. And since then, I've added a lot of additional functions and features, and at each point that I've expanded the functionality, I've expanded the testing suite as well to not only ensure that the features that I'm adding are working well, but all of the existing functionality is intact and working perfectly. So let's go through some of those new features real quick. I'm going to open up a new project. The first thing I want to show you are the line tools. It might not sound that exciting, but I think it's very interesting, and it was quite technically challenging. So now all of the line tools are based on anchor points. So we can double click on any line to open up the edit mode. We can also switch between the four line types of straight, curved, orthogonal, and Bezier. So the curved line has an additional handle like this, and we can move the anchor points like that. All these lines also have the ability to add start and end markers like arrows, and those markers will update their position as we update the shape of the line. So we can switch to an orthogonal line like this, and now when we double click, we can also double click the line to add additional anchor points like this. And now I can switch to a Bezier line, and now you can see those anchor points are behaving differently because they have these handles here, and we can update these handles individually. We can also change it to a corner mode so we can move the handles separately from one another. And one of the cool features is that we can, once I add these shapes to the page, to the canvas, then I'll show you the smart connections and the auto pathfinding feature. So if I double click on this line now to bring up the anchor points, you can see the smart connection points on any of the eligible shapes. So if I now grab this anchor point, we can attach it to this shape like that, it magnets onto it. And if I grab this one, we can attach it to this shape. And now we can drag these shapes around and it will stay attached. We can also move these shapes in the way, or let me turn it on first. We can turn on automatic pathfinding, and it tries to find the quickest path between these points. So now if we drag the line between these shapes, it will avoid these other shapes that are in the line's path. And that works for both Bezier lines and the orthogonal lines like this. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. I also added line gradients. So now the line gradient is actually applied to the actual path of the line. So not just seeing it as one full image and then applying the gradient over the top. So I can show you that most clearly with, say, a curved line. If we make this line really curved and we put points really close to one another, then I can show you how the gradient works. I don't know if it's that interesting, but you can see that it starts at this end and then goes up through the path. So that's kind of cool. And it updates as we update the shape of the line too. I did a lot of work on the images. So let's add a basic image here. And I added some intelligent cropping. So the other cropping is pretty sort of self-explanatory. We've got ellipses that you can change the dimension, stretch and squeeze the circle, the square that stays in a square shape. But the freeform tool is just like the other line tools where we can add an anchor point and then we can crop it like this. I just canceled, but you get the idea. I'll keep moving. We can add filters, so we can either control the brightness, the contrast, and the saturation directly, or we can use these presets. So if I reset these filters, I can also show you that we can change the color maps. So we can apply a hot color map or a turbo. This is useful for scientific diagrams. And I'll get rid of this to make some space. And I want to show you the membrane tool. So this is a scientific specific tool that creates illustrations of membranes. So we can make this into a phospholipid bilayer by changing the orientation and making it double-sided. And now we have a phospholipid bilayer. And we can always change the shape of that line at any point, and it will update the icons. And then we also have a charting tool. So if we add a new chart in here, we can edit the chart data either by adding and removing rows and columns, or we can paste in CSV data or upload CSV data, and it will update the chart. And we can change all of the styling. We can add error bars and a column for error bars, change the font, all this good stuff. And then last but not least, I want to show you the collaboration. So there are multiple ways that we can collaborate. We can either create a group of members and then share projects with the group, or we can create a page of projects and then share the page with individual members. But we can also just share projects directly. So that's what I'll show you today. So let's just invite test2. Invite them, and then I'll open up a new browser window where you can see the user invited. Make sure that you can see this. If I hit refresh on the notifications, you can see the invitation, so let's accept that. And now we will open up that same project. So now we have two people working on the same project, and you'll see a little notification at the top here that now we're in collaboration mode and test2 is also here. So when I move the cursor around here, I realize I've just shared this in view only mode. So let's now update this to be edit mode. So I'm going to remove this and create a new invitation for edit, and we'll make this test2 at Gazzola.dev. And I'll invite them, and we're going to do the same thing as before. Wait for that invitation to arrive, accept the invitation, and now we'll have edit mode active. And we'll be able to collaborate as I was going to show you. Okay, and now you can see the cursor is appearing there. We can also drag and move these things around, and it happens in real time, and it works both ways. So if I move this up to there, then it will update in the other canvas. And so all of the functionality is live updated. The owner of the project can lock the canvas like this, so that now I can't make any changes until we unlock it again. We can also leave comments for one another. So if I post a comment on this and I say hello, then we'll see that comment appear over here. We can move these comment markers around. That will also update in the other screen. Excuse me, and then I can reply. And when I reply, the person who posted the comment will not only see a little notification icon in the canvas, but they will receive a notification either in the app and or by email according to their settings. And then when you click this, the notification goes away. And that is the main thing. There's also a lot more to show you. Like I've got numbered callouts where we can add a number like this to sort of, let me put it in a more clearer spot. So when I add a new number, this will be number 2 now, and there's a little legend that we can move around down the bottom with a label, and as we add more numbers, that will increment the count and add them to the label. We also have brackets, so I can go like this to sort of identify something, and the size of the bracket, the size of the label and the size of the bracket itself can be updated like this. And I've also changed the full user interface of this editor to make things a lot more intuitive. Like for example, I changed these features are locked until you share a number of projects. So I created this this gauge of showing how many projects need to be shared, what the feature is that's locked. I upgraded all of these sidebars so that it loads and works perfectly and is managed a little bit better. It was a little bit messy before, but now on the right hand side, this properties panel will be contextually updated depending on what we have selected. So right now the bracket is selected, so the bracket section is shown, but otherwise it won't be there, and we'll just have the global properties if nothing is selected. So there's so much more to show you, like the group management, the page management, all that stuff, but all there is to tell you is that everything is fully tested, including all row level security, all database functionality, all of the actual user interface functionality is tested by E2E tests. And I'm really proud of the work that I've done here. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope it was interesting.